Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I will be your host.
Your ghost host.
I will be your ghost host. And in this episode, we're going to be talking. Stop it! We're going to be talking about a 3-night Disney cruise. We had the pleasure of taking on the Disney Dream a couple weeks ago. Very excited because everybody in this room, including the Wandering Finger, was on the cruise. So a chance for everybody.
The people who are listening and not watching are going to be like...
They have to listen. They have to watch if they want to find out what the Wandering
Finger.
So everybody can participate and tell us your thoughts on what I thought was a great cruise. And speaking of our panel, we are joined by Agent Consultant for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Tracy Heinrichs.
Hi, everyone.
Agent for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kristen Turner.
Hello, everybody.
Client Services Manager for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin
Hi.
Close. Once again, you've ruined the intro.
Sea Police.
Kevin Close.
Hi, everyone.
There you go.
This is fun.
Chief Executive Officer for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Peter Werner.
Hello, everyone.
Agent for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Stacy Wood.
Hey.
And our producer, Craig Williams.
Hello.
Again, hi, everybody. Thank you guys for joining me. As I mentioned, this is part 2 of a 3-part series we're doing on our Disney Dream 3-night sailing. The last thing we did last week, we talked about the ship in general. We talked about staterooms, and we talked about some of the activities that make Disney different from other cruise lines. So what we wanted to focus on this time is we want to talk about onboard experience and what happens on the Disney cruise and things that set it apart from other cruise lines. And one of the things that's very different on Disney Cruise Line than any other cruise is this idea of rotational dining. Tracy, why don't you tell us about rotational dining and what does that mean?
So with Disney, they have 3 main dining rooms. So rotational dining really just means that you're rotating through each of the restaurants. So on a 3-night cruise, you're going to do each restaurant once. Once you get into 4, 5, 7-night cruises, then you'll repeat some restaurants and they'll be on a rotation. So with their Animator's Palette, Enchanted Garden, and Royal Palace on this ship. Mm-hmm. And we had talked about this on a previous show. The main dining rooms in Disney, the food quality, the quality of the experience is what we all feel a step above from what other cruise lines are doing.
Again, when you compare this to what other cruise lines do, other cruise lines, you stay in the same dining room every night. The theme changes, the food changes. You know, they may change their shirts to a different color. But Disney has really taken this idea of themed dining on the cruise to the next level.
Well, while we're talking about dining, because we are talking specifically about the Dream, when Disney went and had these ships built, the Dream and the Fantasy, one of the things they did was expanded the size and scope of their kitchens. One of the big criticisms Disney had with the Wonder and the Magic was the food was not, and to some degree still is not, all that good. So that was kind of paid attention to when they built these kitchens, and you can really tell the difference between a sailing on the Wonder or Magic and a sailing on the Dream of the Fantasy. And the food is markedly better.
Do you want to talk about each restaurant and what the theming of that restaurant is and what we thought of the food?
If you'd like to.
I would love to.
I thought you would.
That's what I live for.
So Animator's Palette. What would you say that the theme is? It's really
Animator's Palette.
It's a palette that's been animated.
That's a Canadian education system for
that's
you.
right. It's really very much like an artist studio, wouldn't you say? You know, there's like paint pots and
Right.
You know, and there's
renderings, there's drawings of every stage of the animation process.
But there are interactive displays throughout the restaurant that are showing various things, and then very similar to Turtle Talk with Crush at Epcot, you have Crush kind of swimming around these different displays and actually stops and engages with people at certain tables, and you can do the question and answer thing with them, and it's really kind of cool. Of course, we were seated in the middle of the restaurant, so we didn't have a...
I thought this time it felt very hard to hear what was going on. I didn't really understand a lot.
The restaurant was deafeningly loud.
It was very loud. Again, this is one of those things that's so different than any other cruise line. Pretty much any experience. I mean, where else do you have this interactive experience at your table. So I mean, it's very, very cool. But again, we were sort of, it was tough to hear what was going on, but it didn't really, that didn't take away from that experience for me because I had seen it before. So it wasn't like I had to be there and interact with him. I thought it was really great. It was a lot of fun. Let's talk about the food at Animator's Palette.
It was my favorite.
Was it?
Yeah.
It definitely seemed to me, I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but on each of the 3 nights, it seemed like the food got better and better, like built to a crescendo. The first night was okay. The second night was, that's pretty good. Third night was, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, we actually started in Enchanted Garden. Then we went to, what's that other restaurant?
Royal Palace.
Royal
Royal
Palace.
Palace. And then we wound up in Animator's Palette. So that's how our progression of dinner went. I'm just going to say this sort of blanket going in, and I'm going to let you guys have the rest of the conversation. We did not have a great experience at any of our dinners. So everyone else seemed to have a good meal and seemed to have a good time. So I'm going to chalk it up to our experience and just leave it
You're
at
just
that.
a pain in the neck.
Well, no, there's more to it. There were several tables of our group there, and our group would get our entrees while you all were getting dessert.
Right. So again, I don't want to. I think it'd be unfair for us to go, "Oh, this is terrible," and our service was bad and everything was bad, when everybody else had a really good time
Yeah.
and everybody else's experience was spot on.
Also, at our last restaurant, we sat next to a table of unsupervised children.
Supersized children.
During our dinner, John and I had a young boy crawling between our feet under our table carrying a Mickey bar. And no one said a word to him.
Right.
So we had a different dining experience.
Yeah.
the
So
last
again, I don't believe it's fair for us to then chime in and say, "Oh no, ours was different." So I've got that out of the way up front. Did you
One of
guys
the-
really like the food here?
Yeah, I thought the food for the cruise overall was very good. It certainly was higher than my expectation, and there were some meals that were like, okay, well, this could have been better, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't awful by any means. So, and if you hear beeping, it's my security system. Somebody's opening a door somewhere, and there are other people in the house right now while we're recording. It's driving me nuts. I want to go beat
And
somebody.
we don't notice it, but that's all right.
The one thing I do want to mention about rotational dining, just because if someone's doing this is their first cruise, and we were talking about this off air before, that people are like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. On your key to the world card, in your stateroom. It's not on your key.
It's on your key to the
Both,
world
yeah,
card.
both.
You will see a series of letters that may say RAE on it, and for dining. And what that means is the first night you're in Royal Palace, the second night you're in Animator's Palette, the third night you're in Enchanted Garden. And for whatever the duration of the cruise is, you're able to see.
And it'll have a number on it too. That'll tell you your table number.
It'll say your table
and that's the
number.
great thing about rotational dining as well. You're moving from restaurant to restaurant, but your wait staff is coming with you.
Right, you have the same.
So you have the same
servers.
serving team. You're sitting at the same table. If you do have other table mates that you are not related to, sometimes that happens. They are traveling with you, so it's kind of keeping a consistency throughout as well.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about when you get seated at a table with people you don't know? Because I had a bad experience with that.
I personally don't like it. It's not my thing, and I think partly because I was raising a special needs child, and so I needed to be. Our dinners was ours. It was very uncomfortable for him to be sitting with people that he didn't know. And so I think my experience might be a little bit different. But I can tell you, I don't like it. I wouldn't go to a restaurant and share a table with people I don't know.
Well, I had a situation once where, we were seated at a table with another couple. And, first night, very, very nice couple. We chatted and we got to know each other. And like the first couple nights, it was a 7-night cruise, first couple nights. The third night, we decided to go to Palo. And the next night, we go back. These people were furious. Like, they got, attached. Like, there was something wrong with them. And they got, really attached. And they just were so furious that we went and didn't tell them. And I'm like, I don't freaking know you.
I was going to say, was it your brother and sister-in-law?
Well, there,
John and I were on a cruise one day with a mother and her daughter, and the daughter came to dinner and would turn her dining chair around and sit with her back to the table, would only eat chicken fingers out of her lap, and every time her mother spoke to her, she would scream, "I hate you."
That was a fun cruise. It was a Disney cruise.
It was a Disney cruise.
And I know people who love that part of cruising,
Oh,
and
they
that's
do,
a very
absolutely.
traditional part of cruising.
It is.
Having cruised for many years since I was 16 years old, that's always been a part of cruising. But it was a part that I was never comfortable with. We would ask for our own table.
Right.
I have
that-
booked-
that's
You
my
can-
the point.
Yeah.
The point I'm about to make is that you
Yeah.
can go to your maitre d' and say, if I
And
would
you
like
can-
to be seated at my own table.
And you can even do it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So if you
But
don't
it's
want
a
that
request.
yes. So if you don't want that uncomfortableness on board of sitting with people and then not liking them and wanting to change, we can add a request to your cruise prior to you sailing, saying they would like their own table. Disney never guarantees requests. This is what it's called, a request. They do try their best, and typically, I'm finding now when I cruise, it used to be a lot of large tables. And now when you cruise, you see a ton of tables for 2, tables for 4.
But
And
that
I've-
being said, I've also booked people who have then said, listen, these were my table mates on the next cruise. We're going to travel again together
Right.
this time.
Right.
So there
there
are,
are as many success stories as there are bad experiences.
Yeah, and honestly, I've been on, I can't count the number of cruises, not just Disney, but other cruise lines. And I'll say about half of those experiences, I've had people at the table I didn't know. And that's the only one I can come up with that was a negative
Yeah.
experience. But it was enough for me to okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I got plenty of my own crazy. I don't need yours.
Exactly.
With our party of 5, both times we've had a family of 3 sit with us, and they ended up being our friends. And actually, I had one of them turn client, so I promoted myself during that meal. Also, I wanted to mention that there's 2 dining times. So there's main dining at 5:45, and
It
then
depends on the ship, but around there.
and then the other one's like 8:15-ish. So, and that's another thing. If you can't get that one and you want main dining, we can request
We
main
can
dining.
wait list you for the earlier
Wait
time
list,
as well.
wait
Yes.
list. Yes, that's what I meant.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the other restaurants. Enchanted Garden, as Tracy would describe it, it's an enchanted garden.
It's a garden that's been enchanted.
Garden has been enchanted.
It's a nice it's a nice atmosphere in Enchanted Garden. It's my least favorite of
And
the
mine
three.
too. Mine too.
Not in
also-
terms of food, just in terms of I don't
it's
know.
Great Hall of the People with some garden accents.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel though that restaurant to me felt the tightest of all of them? It
Yeah,
felt like we
it
were
did.
sitting so close to everybody else.
I felt like I was eating in Ellis Island. It was just so crowded.
Yeah.
And again, our
Exactly.
experience was we would see everyone around us have their food served and their appetizers and their entrees, and they would be getting dessert, and we would get our appetizer.
I think that had more to do with our server team because we had that problem the first night in Enchanted Garden where it was an hour and 45 minutes before our entree was served.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
We had an 8 o'clock dinner time, and our entrees were delivered at 10:05.
We ran into this, though, on another cruise that a number of us had done together, where we were spread out over 2 or 3 tables larger. And I think what was happening, and what happened that first night, is that they were trying to time the meal to feed all of our large tables at once.
Well, they failed.
And it just created chaos. And I think they realized after that just wasn't going to work.
Right.
So I think this was a unique situation for sure. And I have found anytime I've had dining issues, it's always been because I've had a really large table. And so
Again, I'm not talking about the food quality. I'm just talking about our experience.
Then we went on to Royal Palace. What do you guys think of that?
It's a palace of royals.
Of Royals? There you go. Excellent.
It's that I think is the most beautiful
Right.
of the 3 restaurants. Animator is definitely the most fun. It's an incredibly elegant.
it's like a castle dining room,
It
right?
is.
Like it's
It is
you're-
absolutely, and I really love that restaurant. I think that's probably my favorite outside of Palo. But
Speaking
yeah.
of Palo leads us into the adult dining options on the ship. Tracy, why don't you tell us about those?
basically we have Palo and Remy on the newer ships, so they're both paid restaurants. So you would pay a surcharge, obviously, or definitely not as much as you would pay. It's not like you're getting a full bill for a full menu, but there's an upcharge for each. And depending on the length of your cruise, there may be a brunch as well as dinner. These are adult only.
There is a dress code that's
There-
enforced. That's
Yeah.
not enforced in the rest of the ship.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. There's a dress code.
It's Palo is, I believe, collared shirt and slacks for gentlemen, skirts and pantsuits.
And I think they've laxed it a little bit for brunch, where now you can wear jeans at Palo or
Yeah.
something. Remy is still a lot
Remi's
stricter.
jacket and tie.
Yeah.
Remy is jacket and tie.
Yeah. And so, these are there. And again, Disney's not, with these restaurants, Disney isn't relying on this revenue to continue operating. Whereas it's a little bit different than other cruise lines that have specialty restaurants. These really are for adults to have a private experience.
Well, there's
outside
also
of
a
the
difference.
kids.
On a Royal Caribbean ship, you're paying half price. So you pay an upcharge to eat in the specialty restaurants. On Disney, you're just paying a slight fee to eat in the adult restaurants.
And
but the price of the cruise is considerably higher.
And Palo is Northern Italian gourmet is the menu, whereas Remy is French gourmet. And Remy in particular is what you would consider Michelin star level of service menu.
And do you enjoy it? Is it? I haven't.
I've only done it once.
Okay.
I've only done it once, and it was spectacular. But I have a funny story about that. We were having our dinner, and the table next to us had gotten their check, and this guy's face was white. And I hear him saying something to the server, and I couldn't really make it out, but I knew something was going on. Then I heard him say, "But $1,700?" And he goes. The server walks away and comes back with the wine list, and he's showing him the wine that he ordered was $1,700.
Oh my gosh.
And I guess he, I don't know if he made a mistake in what he ordered, but this guy was, and his wife had gone to the restroom, and she came back, and he said, "Well, we're not spending anything for the rest of this cruise because that bottle of wine was $1,700." So
Oh my
this has a wine selection. There are bottles of wine on that list that are upwards of $5,000, or at least it was. I haven't been in there in a while, but. So this is, that's why I say it's a Michelin star level dining experience, and I don't believe it's Michelin star rated, so I don't want to confuse anybody, but it's that level of dining experience. So yeah, you can spend some real money on one.
Yeah, this is multi-course, small portion,
Right.
a lot of
This is gourmet dining experience.
Gourmet dining experience. Very, very. It was great. We had a good time when we did it.
My one and only time I went there, I got absolutely bombed.
We did the.
I don't drink
wine
at all,
pairing,
and I
yeah.
did the wine pairing, and it was just little sips.
That's all it takes.
Apparently, but there were like 8 of them.
There were like 8 courses.
Yeah.
So, you have a funny story about Palo. Do you want to tell your husband's story about Palo?
My husband may never forgive me, but why not? So we go to Palo. We're on the cruise, and we weren't planning on doing Palo, but then we were invited. And I think it was actually brunch, and at that time they did have the dress pants rule.
The code was dress
was dress pants. So he shows up in nice jeans and a collared shirt, and they call him over. "I'm sorry, sir. He hadn't brought any." He's like, "Oh, okay. It's all right. I'll skip brunch." And they're like, "Oh, no, come with us." They had a spot where they had pants in different sizes.
Oh my gosh.
But he had runners on, right? But no, that's okay. They had
Sneakers.
shoes too. And so
Runners are Canadian for sneakers.
Sneakers,
yeah.
Okay.
So they had a selection of pants and jackets in different sizes. My husband's not a small man. They could accommodate. And he's, a
And they
little
had
bit on the
shoes.
short side, and they fit in length. And they had shoes that would fit him. They're like, "Oh, you can keep them for the week, sir," because we had a couple other
Oh, that's
times
funny.
that we were going back. And so he's wearing that. I'm mortified. I am mortified. My husband wore that like a badge of honor.
He did. He was so proud of himself.
However, the best comment was he decided the next time he came on the cruise, he wasn't going to pack at all.
I'm not
Yeah.
packing at all.
He's like, "I don't have to pack them. They'll just give them to me at the restaurant."
Hashtag straight men problems.
No, it's true. It's true. And that's how you know he's straight. He wears somebody else's pants.
It was
But
so funny
it
because
was
Tracy
so
was
fun.
so
I was
embarrassed.
mortified.
He's like, "Look at this! They gave me
Yeah.
pants. They gave
I'm
me shoes."
wearing borrowed pants.
I didn't even have to pack them. He was so happy. And then the next time we're packing, he's like, "I wonder if they lend out bathing suits."
What about underwear? Do you think they have underwear I could borrow?
It didn't bother him at all. He thought it was great. But they did have them available, which was interesting. He said it was research.
He did research. Hey, we used it on a show.
We did.
But they didn't never mind. I'm
Yeah,
gonna say,
no,
but they didn't realize he was going commando.
Weak. So let's go on to quick service.
Let's just talk quickly. Adult.
Okay.
There's one other adult area where the Cove Cafe by the adult pool. I love that spot.
Oh, it's
we
my
do too,
favorite
yeah.
place on the
Love
ship.
that spot.
Tell us a little bit about
it's
it.
adult only. It's a small little coffee house if it was on land, but a little cafe. I don't drink coffee, but they serve a lot of specialty coffees and beverages
And
in there.
teas.
And teas.
And they have a bar.
They do, and
a
they
full bar.
usually have a little display case where they've got some finger
Desserts?
foods and desserts and stuff. I love going there and having a tea. Sometimes just a Diet Coke. It's always quiet. Bring in a
Cool.
book. Yep,
There's
air
comfortable chairs
conditioned.
inside and out.
Yeah, you can grab a little snack and have it, and there's usually no kids in there. So that's a really
There should
nice,
never be kids in there.
I know, every once in a while they sneak in. But
Well, that's also in the adult area.
Yeah.
But they can't close that area off. Children do walk through there. And
Right.
I think what happens is they become curious as to what it is.
Yeah.
So
I love
throw
that
them
area. That's
overboard.
one of my favorite places.
And the coffees are an additional charge.
They are.
That is not part of your cruise fare. But
however, they
now-
have a loyalty card.
They do, for every 5 cups of coffee you buy, you get one free with their loyalty card. And now it used to be that Disney Cruise Line, along with the rest of Disney, served Nescafe. It was their free coffee on the ship. And it was horrible. Now they've since moved to Joffrey's. So I used to say that, getting coffee, the free coffee, don't do it. Go buy it because they're using really good stuff in Cove Cafe. But I got to say now that they're using Joffrey's, I think that might have hurt Cove Cafe to some degree because
tell
the
you
coffee's so much better now.
the coffee in the concierge lounge was incredible. It was so good. I don't know what they were serving, but it was really good.
It was good. It was good.
We'll tell you all about it because you couldn't go in there. So let's move on to quick service. A lot of quick service options on these newer ships for sure, which is great.
Yeah, so if you're looking for casual dining, you've got Cabanas, which is the buffet. So that's open at varying
Which was
hours. Usually
also
for
very
breakfast.
good.
Yeah, I think we only did that once. But again, it's only 3 nights.
We
You
had
don't
a
have
very
a lot of
busy
time.
week, too.
We
We had
did.
a
We had
busy
meetings and stuff. But they're doing breakfast and lunch, and on select nights they'll also do a dinner buffet if you don't want to go to the main restaurant. There's also Flo's Cafe, out on the pool deck. I thought that was really well done. We had eaten there twice this time, and I thought they kind of upped the game a little bit on the quality of that food. This is your chicken fingers
Right.
and burgers and pizza. But
Sausage
then
sandwiches.
Yeah, then they have that display case where you can get fresh fruit or a salad or wraps or sandwiches. So
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
A lot of times on cruises, there's that fresh element is always missing. You're not kind of doing hot dogs and hamburgers and chicken fingers over and over again. There's a great place for that to get something sort of fresh.
Now-
Or you want a tuna sandwich. The other thing is, as long as they're not busy, I have gone there and instead of getting a tuna wrap, I've asked them to make me a tuna sandwich. So they're very accommodating that way too.
One of the other things that was a discovery for me, because I hadn't done any research before we went on the cruise, and it's a relatively new addition, just outside of Cabanas what was the name of it? The candy name?
Vanellope.
Vanellope Sweets.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
he loved this place.
okay,
Like he couldn't
this
talk enough about it.
come on.
It was amazing.
It was,
was
very
amazing.
fun.
It
It
didn't
was
do it for
fun
me,
and-
but okay.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So it's a candy shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's got all these different candies, and you can go around with the bag and fill up your bag with candy. But it's also a gelato place. And not only could you get like different like gelato cones and sundaes and things like that, but you could order special gelato sundaes to be delivered for your dessert in the dining room, which is what I did for our group. So we got like 8 or 9 of these things for our group, and they come in these like huge cups.
They're trophy cups
Right.
because it's
Yeah.
Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I got that right.
And so that to me, I was like, okay, this is the coolest thing ever. Really good gelato, excellent gelato, and candy.
And it wasn't that expensive.
Candy.
It was what, like $13, $14
It was like
for one of
$14
these?
for like one of these massive things of gelato.
It was like at the kitchen sink in a from Walt Disney World in a
An 11 cup is what we used to
Yeah,
buy.
yeah,
Right.
because it's like 6 or 7 different scoops of gelato, different types of gelato, and then all these different toppings you can put on it for like $13-14.
How much was the candy? Was the candy?
I didn't get any.
I didn't get
It was
any
charged by
either.
the pound. I don't remember what it was per pound, but
They had also cupcakes. I had chocolate covered strawberries, and they had milk chocolate, or they had dark chocolate and white chocolate. And I asked if they would do milk chocolate, and he did it right there for me. And they had Rice Krispie treats, that kind of thing. They also had Halloween themed cupcakes and
Now,
Rice Krispies and things.
this is at additional cost.
Exactly.
Everything
But
in
it
here
is
was at
very, very
additional cost.
affordable.
But
Yeah,
it's
it's the very-
extremely
yeah.
reasonable. Yeah.
Right, but I
Very
just don't
low.
want people to think that that's included in there. It's not part of your dining. It's
No,
an
it's
additional
that was a
charge.
really nice surprise. I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
There's also another place I like is the Vista Cafe. It's up on deck 4 or 5 because it overlooks the lobby. Do you know what I mean?
4.
Yeah. I know
4.
what you mean, okay.
Yeah, and
By
they
the-
also serve some specialty coffees
the
there,
photo pass,
and they'll have a little display case as well where you can get some desserts and snacks. But there's a bunch of chairs there, so sometimes it's nice if there's live music playing in the lobby. You can sit up there. It's a little bit quiet. You can
Throw
enjoy
things
it,
down
have a
at
drink.
people.
Yeah, it's just that's what I love about these ships is finding these little places where you can hang out and just
Right.
enjoy. I really enjoyed that area
Do
as
you have
well.
anything else for quick service? Did we miss?
I do.
Room service.
Room service.
Yeah.
Room
We
service a couple
ordered
times.
we ordered chicken wings. The problem is they only come in. The order is 5 chicken wings. Now, I can eat 10 chicken wings, and I'm being really kind of polite. I could eat 15 chicken wings. These were not huge, so we would order chicken wings as our lunch or our snack or our dinner, or whatever, but you would have to order enough orders to make an order of chicken wings. So they would come to our
Can
door.
I have
with-
17
Right,
orders
with
of chicken wings, please?
covered wagon train of carts.
Well, they do that. They do that thing at room service where you place your order and they say, "Well, how many are we serving?" And at first I was truthful and I said 2, and the woman on the other one gasped, 2. So finally I said, "Oh yes, there's 7 of us now. There's 7 of us."
And
in the
I said to her one day, "Can you just make 2 orders of 12 wings each?" No. All right, we'll have 6 orders of wings.
I thought room service was delivered quickly. I thought everything was hot.
That surprised
tasty.
me.
Yeah.
That surprised me. Room service usually comes tepid. Everything showed up very warm.
There is ice cream. There's free ice cream upstairs.
Yep.
And and they've gone back to ice cream
Not ice milk.
as opposed to iced milk.
Right.
And there is a difference. And for a while they had switched over to doing ice milk, and I'm like, no, not for the price you're charging for these cruises. Put some damn ice cream in there. And they
And
did.
you're on a cruise.
Yeah, really.
You've eaten all day, every day, and all of a sudden you're going to switch to ice milk because it's lower in
Right,
calories.
exactly.
They have in the district lounge area, there's a little area, like a little hot plate area, sometimes where they'll put hot finger foods out in the evenings for, that's the...
I wondered what those were for. I never saw them
Yeah,
full.
they don't do
I
it
mean,
usually
yeah.
until later. Usually about 11 or 11:30, they'll put something out for about an hour. And it's usually like chips and salsa or things
I
like
missed
that.
that.
Chips and seltzer?
Yum.
Is that a Canadian thing?
It is. It is.
Delicacy.
Yeah.
So while we're on that, I know we were talking about entertainment next, but let's talk about the lounges. Let's talk about the district. That's the more adult area.
It
of
is.
The ship.
Kristen should talk about that, or Stacy. They spent a lot of time.
And
there.
Craig.
Yeah. Craig lived there.
I said I was really excited to get to experience these because, like I said, this was my first adult-only cruise, and where I could get rid of my kids long enough to do something like that.
Didn't you text your husband the first day and tell him you're never bringing the children?
I
after
did.
that?
I've said I'm never bringing them again, and I said
Yes.
it many times after that.
And
I
he
mean,
showed them the text.
Yes, and then I got another one back of them mad at me because I said I was never bringing them again. But it was great to get to go to the lounges. We spent a lot of time at Evolution. We went to the adult show every night.
Right. And then when we left there, we went over to the other one.
The District Lounge.
There's the
with the
district
with the
lounge.
DJ.
The district
Okay.
lounge where the DJ would play. This is the first time on a Disney ship that it wasn't deserted by 11 o'clock. Like the last night, we were out there until 2 or 2:30.
Because it was filled with Dreams Unlimited Travel. Days.
But the DJ was playing. The dance floor was full. I've
Yeah.
never seen this on a
Yeah,
Disney
a lot
ship
of times
before.
those entertainment areas are ghost town by
Right.
10:30.
And they moved. They used to do that kind of thing in Evolution, but I think they realized there weren't enough people, so they moved it out to this district lounge area. It's kind of a little bit of a walk-through area, and it was hopping. Like people were out there and they were dancing. They have the pub. What is it? 687.
Yeah.
687.
Yes.
687. That we loved that. We hung out there a lot. They do trivia and stuff in there, but they serve beer. We found these big recliners
Yeah.
in front
The
of a
football
wall
game.
of TVs when it was football day.
That's where you
It
can
was-
watch your football, and they do have all these hidden recliners, and then I also enjoyed they had checker and chess boards all throughout in there, so you could feel very
Old.
intellectual as you were sitting there drinking. So it was definitely.
When did checkers
very
become
fun place.
intellectual?
I don't know.
They were playing
When you're
chess.
wearing a bra most nights, then that really is.
Bra and lip gloss.
Him and Corey were playing chess one night, and we'd all kind of hang out, and we were kind of watching. It's like, I am just not watching this happen any longer. This is the worst thing I've ever done on a cruise, is watch you two play chess. But it's there, like it's just so. It was such a great place to be,
Yeah.
and Pink is in there, the champagne bar.
I thought
the
you meant the singer.
No, she wasn't.
Pink is performing nightly.
No, we had Gene Simmons. That's another story.
Yeah.
Skyline is there.
See, now Skyline's kind of cool because the background windows are all views of various cities around the world, and throughout the evening, those views change. So, like one night, it's Hong Kong, and then it becomes San Francisco, and it's really cool.
I didn't
Now,
notice
see, we
that.
didn't even talk about one of my favorite places, and I think the name of it is Hemisphere.
Meridian.
Meridian. I'm sorry.
Meridian. I was
That's how
there one
much
night.
he loves it and doesn't even know the name.
I love
Meridian.
Meridian, the
Yeah.
Meridian Lounge, because it's one of only 2 places on the ship where you're allowed to smoke.
Right. It's
Right.
a cigar and tequila bar, right?
Well, I don't know about cigars or tequila because I'm up there smoking cigarettes, but
No, they do have big, huge cigar.
I know that they've got a full
Selection.
bar, and
And a lot of top shelf stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Like
very
a lot of-
clubby,
very much
very.
Gentlemen's
Yeah.
Club.
I think Hemingway should hang out there, so maybe that's what I thought it was.
Let folks know it's up between Palo and Remy.
Yes.
But it's accessible to anyone.
Right, it's Meridian because it straddles the middle of the ship, the line that goes down the center of the ship.
And you have a
It's
great view out the
incredible
back
view,
of the ship.
yeah.
It's the fantail.
There's a couple there's pool bars and stuff like that as well. There's the one that's up above the adult pool area, Currents.
Yeah.
It's up there. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people hang out up there as well. So there are a lot of places for adults to be. I know the district after a certain time at night becomes adult only, so it's no longer family activities.
And it's just that they have something for everyone, from
Right.
the sports bar theme type thing to
The champagne.
Champagne.
So there was really
this is making me want to go back on the ship.
Doesn't it? Makes you reminisce about
Yeah,
how great
I
it was.
missed the champagne bar.
You didn't go in the
didn't-
champagne bar?
We didn't get. I don't
Stacey
think
has
we
to
went
go
there.
back.
We do. We need to go
Yeah.
back and try that.
And a lot of
one.
you spent a lot of time at that tequila.
The tequila. Yeah, the tequila tasting.
We did a tequila tasting.
And let's talk about entertainment now. Disney is world renowned for their entertainment.
Yeah, not on the ship, then. Sorry.
All right.
This particular cruise has 3 of their Broadway quality or style shows.
Style, yeah.
Broadway style shows. There's 3 of them. There's The Villains Tonight, Golden Mickey's, and Believe. This kind of becomes my issue. This is where I don't always go back to Disney because I've done it so much that it had been so long since I'd been on, but the shows are still the same. A lot of the menus are still the same. So there's not enough change for me to keep me on a regular basis. I don't have small kids. So, while I love it for a certain thing, sometimes some of this I think is old. Like, I'd like to see something new. But I'd say Believe is one of my favorite shows. I love
Believe
that
is
show.
awesome.
There's that part where the dad and the daughter dance, and I start crying 4 minutes before it starts because you know what's coming. So, everybody, and then we had some people with us that had never been on the cruise and had never seen one of the shows. So,
I start crying because I missed the casino at that point. Where is the casino?
and if you're on a 4-night sailing, on the 4th night they'll do something else. So they may bring on somebody. It could be a magician or something like that. They've had different entertainers on. If there's a really big movie release, they may show a movie in the Walt Disney Theater that night because they can do 3D movies in there as well. So the shows are
a few.
really an appeal, and they're full all the time, and they're really.
And they do 2 shows a night to coincide with dining.
Yes.
If you go to an early dining, you go to the later show, and then the reverse.
That is true. And there's other activities around the ship. We showed what happened in the last week's show. We showed what happened for the Halloween at High Seas.
Right.
But there's always something entertainment at night down there for the kids to keep the kids entertained. There's a sail away party. There's pirate night.
Right. First run movies is a big thing. On a 3-night cruise, there's not a lot of time to catch a movie. But if you're on a little bit of a longer cruise, a family of 4 being able to go see Finding Nemo,
Yeah.
that's a cost saving. You take a family of 4 to the movies, you're going to spend
I can tell you
money.
something else too. The in-room movies and on-demand movies they had were incredible. I mean, all Marvel movies were there. A lot of old Disney was being shown, so that was really great too. You can keep kids entertained with that. What other activities do you want to mention for adults?
So we go into activities for adults. There's the pool area, Satellite Falls.
There's bingo.
The spa. Bingo is actually, families can do bingo, not just adults, so that's
Well,
a good thing.
before you go running past the spa, arguably, I think the Oasis, Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Seas, gives it a run for the money. Arguably the best spa on the sea, and these things rival the best high-end spas on land that you'll find. Just in the breadth of services, and how beautiful they are. I mean, they're really, really well done. Great treatment rooms, great product, all Elemis product, and it really is. The spa's phenomenal. It's Senses Spa on the ship, and it's
And
if you're a spa person, thumbs up.
You can book those in advance through your cruise planner as you're preparing for your cruise and doing your online check-in. Or there's often availability once you're on board. I don't know that you ever book anything in advance, do you, Pete?
No.
You're booking once you're on board. And sometimes if it's a port day, they may have specials.
The only time I would suggest that you really make a point of booking in advance is if you want to have one of the massages on Castaway Key.
Right, absolutely.
Those book and those rarely cancel.
Yeah.
So it's really, that is the one thing I would say. If you want to do a cabana massage on Castaway Key, then you need to book that in advance. But other than that, I've always been able to get pretty much everything I wanted the day of embarkation day,
Right.
go right away and nail everything down with that. But
They did. I joked that some of the girls had done tequila tasting, but they have wine tastings and beer tastings for adults that you can sign up for. There is a charge for those.
There is. It's $20. Well, for ours, we did tequila and margarita tasting, and it was $20. And I think we walked away having had 4.
Oh, you all were drunk.
they were lit.
Trust me.
Yeah.
We had 4 shots of different
Drunks
types
Unlimited
of
travel.
tequila.
There you go.
And two margaritas
Maybe
that were
topped
topped
off
off each. So you really,
Right.
I mean, it really was inexpensive for what you got.
For $20,
And
it
the
wasn't
bartender
so bad.
was just a wealth of knowledge about the
he was
different
great.
tequilas and how he makes his margaritas from fresh fruit and all kinds of things.
So I know those are very popular, and those can only be
Yeah.
booked once you're on board.
Right.
Those are booked through guest services once you're on board.
And I think some of us booked it like an hour or two before the actual tasting.
And then when they were done their tequila tasting, I was looking for them because I didn't participate, and they were all at the
They were
all at the
booking
rebooking.
on
we
desk.
were all booking on board.
They all decided to go and rebook on board.
No wonder why our numbers spiked
Yeah.
during the cruise.
Oh my God, I love you guys. We got to do this again. I'm sure there's a lot of that going on.
Sure there is. And then they got home and they
Yeah, there was a
went,
lot
"What
of
did I
love being
book?"
shared after that.
Exactly. So yeah, they were all at the rebooking desk. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, that's where Disney gets you.
Yeah.
Family entertainment, family activities on board.
We had mentioned the bingo. Families can participate in that. They have different game shows. The Midship Detective Agency is a nice thing that you can. It takes you. It's like what would you call it? A treasure hunt almost.
Scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt would be a good word. Where you get like a map and you go all over the ship and the paintings come to life and they do different things and you get clues and you solve a mystery. So that's really cool. What am I missing? We talked about the aqueduct.
Swimming.
Swimming.
There's Finding Nemo's splash pad. And that's more towards the kids. We'll get there in a minute, but
I'm always envious. I want to go in there.
I do too. It always looks so much
Yeah.
fun. So again, one of the places where Disney really is elevated amongst all cruise lines. Again, we love other cruise lines, but this, you can't argue with this, is their children's programming. What they
Second
have-
to none.
Right. What they
Yes.
have for kids is incredible and again, makes adults jealous.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a
Absolutely.
little bit about what the kids
Especially
have.
on this ship,
Yeah,
on the
this
Dream and the
ship's-
Fantasy.
yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
so the Oceaneers Club and Lab, those are for children, ages 3 to, do they go to 12-ish? And so it's separated, but it's kind of connected. And they've recently been redone and added Star Wars, which I think we have a video of.
We do.
right?
We have a video from Oceaneers Club. Let's roll that, and we can talk a little bit about it. What's really great is that it's got sort of something for everybody. for every kid and sort of that age group of going.
And that's Andy's room from Toy Story.
Yeah.
So it'll have different areas for different ages of children, but they're all one. You can move between them all. There'll be some activities that are just for a certain age group. The kids are wearing a band, sort of like the Magic Band, but not really, and it allows the team at the kids club
To shock them from afar.
Yeah, when they get past
you know,
the
if you're
opening,
coming to pick them up, they can identify instantly where they are. You know,
Pixie Hollow.
We had to take
Yeah.
Craig away from the dresses.
Here's the Disney Infinity area. I assume something happens here about video games. I don't really know. There's like little statues.
So cool.
There's like statues and things. I don't know. They're little dolls. What do you do with these dolls, Pete?
They go on the base station, and that character then appears in the game, and each character has different abilities and strengths and
powers and different things, and
Now this is where I want to go. This is the Star Wars area.
it's the Millennium Falcon.
You can drive the Millennium Falcon.
you know,
Look
if
at
you
this.
boarded early on embarkation day, they have open house.
We could go play with
We
it.
could get some great pictures of you
And
guiding this spaceship-y thing.
The spaceship thing.
Ordering the destruction of Alderaan.
Yeah,
they also have
attacking the sea police.
However, that's not. I mean, that's not the only thing they have there that's interactive. We're going to see it up next. There's a R2D2. So the level of detail here is incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
they've really sort of just gone above and beyond.
They've leveraged this franchise to within an inch of its life.
Before Disney Cruise Line, for a lot of cruise lines, a kids club, and I know I'd had my son in some, was
Storage.
a floor full of beanbag chairs and a wall of TVs, and that was kids club. And so Disney has made everybody, you know, elevate their game a little bit.
Oh, I remember.
was-
I remember we went on. We did the
Enchantment.
Universal Land Sea, and it was the Enchantment of the Seas.
Mm-hmm.
We went into their kids club, which was like you really have to not like your children to send them there.
There were 40 sewing machines in a row.
Yeah,
the outfits
and so
for
and this is
program.
what's happening now. So the Royal Caribbean is redoing a lot of, and I would say Royal Caribbean's probably second on the market right now to what's happening with
But even
with kids
there-
clubs. But even then, it's a distant.
And what we've heard from people is that they'll leverage these different properties.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Universal is a lot of
Yeah.
Nickelodeon, a lot of their
The DreamWorks.
DreamWorks.
Yeah.
They'll leverage these properties, but the strength and the continuity of how they're used and how they're integrated into
Right.
what's offered isn't there. This is Disney's specialty. This is Disney's bread and butter. And so, Royal Caribbean, it almost feels like, oh, well, we have, this character here and this character there. Like, that's all the kids care about.
Disjointed, yeah.
And so it's very, very disjointed.
Like all of a sudden, Kung Fu Panda shows up apropos to nothing.
And Mushu. And it's like, what is going on here?
Right.
Now let's
Disney
just
We're just Disney.
whatever their dragon is. How to Train Your Lizard? What is that movie that they have?
Let
But
it
any
go.
of that.
Just let it go. Move on.
characters do also appear in the Oceaneers Club and Lab too. They have a send off, like a slumber party with Peter Pan and Pluto shows up, and they just make it wonderful.
You okay?
Slumber party with Peter Pan.
No, I'm thinking of how to train the lizard.
Train the lizard.
How to train your
Train.
dragon.
Train your dragon.
Okay, so that feels like a really good place to stop. We hope we gave you a really good overview of our cruise on the Disney Dream. There's so much to talk about, so much we didn't cover, but I think what we all walked away with, we kind of rekindled that magic. Not to be hokey.
No question about it.
It reminded us
Of why we loved it.
Yeah, it did. And it reminded us of all of the reasons why we're paying more for it.
Right.
And that's not to say it's still for everybody. I get that. Not everybody, people have budget concerns. I completely get that. And it's not to say we can't find you another option. But it just reminded us that you're just paying for something that is second to none.
And I want to drive home a point. We're not saying this simply because we sell this. If any of you, I know a lot of you watch our Dis Unplugged podcasts, our shows, you know that we have not been shy about criticizing Disney Cruise Line, talking about the pricing for years now. We have not been shy about that. That's what kind of made this so stunning, was that we really had bought into the narrative. I just got to be honest. We had bought into the narrative that it was overpriced. It was overpriced and not worth it, and we were feeling that way. I know we've talked about it privately. So that we went on the ship and had the same reaction afterwards, and it was all genuine. It's not craven. It's not about selling it. It was a genuine response to those of us that had really been kind of feeding into the whole "this is too expensive" narrative, myself included, and it kind of drove home for me. Shut up until you've done it again.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done it in a while, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
We when I got home, we were talking. I was talking about it with Chris, and we've really got to get on another. We really have a vacation again on another Disney
I
ship.
can't tell
We
you.
had that same discussion.
I
Yeah.
have been looking at January, February for any dates that
Yeah.
open up that work with my schedule. I'm like
Yeah.
ever since we've gotten back, like every few days or every week, I'm like checking just to see if I can find
The
something.
most frustrating part is that they're filling up. The most frustrating part is like, oh my gosh, there's no, staterooms of this level available anymore, and you think, shoot, I missed out. But maybe the following.
I'm like ready for I'll go for an inside at this point just to get back on the
wow.
ship.
I want pictures.
So no, Kevin's not going. Even if I book you a secret pothole room, where there's potholes in the floor.
Pothole?
All right,
I had
thank
to
you.
drain your lizard room, yeah.
All right, thank you guys very much for joining us. Thank you guys for being a part of our conversation.
Potty training part of.
Oh my God, I can't get out of this. I can't get out of this fast enough. Pull the ripcord. We hope you guys have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.